Yo, yo, yo! What is up? Welcome back to another week of How to Health. My name is Kevin. I run liftingbalance.com, where we take aim at all things health and do it in an odd, weird, interesting, and highly sarcastic manner. Today, we are touching on a topic that seems to get brought up a lot, especially on all of my live streams, and that is the impacts of fasting, intermittent, prolonged, time-restricted, whatever you want to call it, on thyroid health and function. Two of the most talked about health topics meeting in a royal rumble of heavy-hitting cellular and metabolic action. I get a little jazzed up about these things. And as you guys probably already know by now, I am a big proponent of structured meal timing as it pertains to boosting longevity and cellular and metabolic health. And if you don't believe me, take a look at the 50 plus videos on the Fasting 101 playlist that dives into all of the cool new emerging research on the topic, which you can find all linked below. All that being said, I will tell you right now that this is one of those it depends videos. Because quite frankly, the pros and cons of a fasting protocol on thyroid health and function is very dependent on the context in which they are applied. And each individual is at a different point in their marathon of life. So hopefully this video helps slow you down, like figuratively, because we don't want to end our race just yet, right? By the way, if you happen to see production team running out there, keep your eye on them. They race dirty. So in the next 12 minutes and 43 seconds, we'll run through the thyroid gland and its importance, the impacts of a fasting protocol on its function, the middle ground you need to find, and how you can support your thyroid through lifestyle and supplementation. So let's not waste any more time and step right in. The thyroid. Our thyroid gland is important. And if you're watching this video, you probably already came to that conclusion on your own. Thus, why you're here. Yeah. But how important is it exactly, and what happens if it starts going rogue? First, let's talk about what it does. The thyroid secretes key hormones that regulate some of the body's critical functions, such as heart rate, body temperature, the metabolic activity of our energy stores, as well as supporting overall growth and development. And when the thyroid is not working properly, people experience mild to severe symptoms that indicate that these key bodily functions are not operating properly. So yeah, kind of important, but how does it work? The two key hormones that it produces are T3 and T4, distinguished by how many iodine atoms they have. I want you to remember that one. We'll come back to it later. All of this hormone release is regulated by the hypothalamus pituitary thyroid axis, where the energy regulating area of the brain, the hypothalamus, sends a signal to the pituitary gland to release thyroid stimulating hormone, which then moseys on down to the thyroid gland and stimulates the release of T4 and a little bit of T3. Now, T3 is the hormone that actively binds to receptors in the cell and regulates the metabolic magic. But the only way T3 gets to adequate levels in the body is if some of T4 is converted into T3. And when all this goes right, all is well in metabolic land. Kind of like the ring to that. As you could probably tell, this is an intricate and delicate process that oscillates in activity based off time of day, energy consumption, and other internal and external factors. Yeah. So what happens when it goes wrong? Two of the most common thyroid issues are hypothyroidism and hyperthyroidism. Hypothyroidism, or an underactive thyroid, is when your thyroid gland does not secrete enough thyroid hormones. And common symptoms of this include weight gain, fatigue, hair loss, constipation, and dry skin. While hyperthyroidism is the opposite. It is an overactive thyroid, where your thyroid gland secretes too much thyroid hormones, leading to things such as insomnia, anxiety, weight loss, excessive perspiration, rapid heart rate, and frequent bowel movement. So this is one where we don't want too much, we don't want too little, somewhere, in the middle, which unfortunately, for a lot of different reasons, many people struggle with. So how is all of this affected by one of the best longevity tools we have in the toolbox? Fasting. Fasting's impact. Now, there are two things we need to remember before we dive in here. Every fasting protocol is different and every person is different. We'll talk about both a little later. But as it pertains to a fasting protocol, the data is limited, but growing, and thus far a few commonalities stick out. In humans, T3 levels have been shown to decrease after fasting. One study that observed the effects of 80 hours of fasting in healthy individuals saw T3 and TSH reductions within 48 hours of fasting onset. And another trial reported that serum T3 levels decreased up to 55% after 24 hours of fasting. Other research that looked into the impacts of alternate day fasting found short-term 4 weeks and long-term 6 months reduced circulating T3 without any change in TSH levels. And similar results were obtained from a shorter fasting window, 8-hour time-restricted feeding protocol. So right there we see data from an array of different protocols, indicating that active T3, our main cellular metabolism regulating hormone, is decreased, putting individuals into a physiological state that would be associated with energy conservation, which makes sense when you look at it from an evolutionary survival perspective. We don't want to be in an upregulated metabolic state when no energy is coming in. So the evidence that we have to date, which is limited, certainly doesn't seem to indicate that fasting improves thyroid biomarkers. But what about its impact in indirect ways? For example, due to its modulation of other longevity boosting pathways. And here's where the "it depends" starts to take effect. Your middle ground. Risk-reward analysis. Depending on your current state and goals, the trade-offs between all the vast benefits that a fasting protocol brings to the table may be worth not having a running and gunning thyroid 24/7. We're talking glucose stabilizing, insulin dropping, sirtuin activating, autophagy stimulating, stem cell reawakening, inflammation lowering, fat adapting benefits that continue to be solidified by emerging data. It brings up questions such as, could a structured meal timing protocol be beneficial in controlling thyroid dysfunction that comes with autoimmune conditions such as Hashimoto's and Graves' disease, conditions where an overactive immune system damages the thyroid, bringing along with it a laundry list of metabolic dysfunction? There's most certainly a possibility. So long story short, it depends. And that means it may take some N-of-1 experimentation, keeping in mind that nothing needs to be permanent. In fact, I happen to be a proponent of cyclical fasting, where you adjust your TRF protocol a few times a year to give your body, the flexible survival machine that it is, a nice little pattern interrupt. It's also important, just like any other intervention, to find a way to measure your results, subjectively and objectively, by feel, mood, energy, body temperature, physical appearance, as well as biomarkers. In this case, TSH, T3, and T4. So whether you decide a fasting protocol is for you or not, in all cases, it's worth knowing how to support your thyroid function and put it in a position to fly like a butterfly and hopefully not sting like a bee, or sting like anything for that matter. Here are some underappreciated, underutilized ways to do just that. Thyroid support. First, iodine. Iodine deficiency is a common and usually underdiagnosed cause for inadequate thyroid hormone production. This is because the thyroid requires iodine to manufacture thyroid hormones. Remember, T3 and T4 are distinguished by the number of iodine atoms they have. And severe iodine deficiency has been shown to cause hypothyroidism, typically indicated by low T4 and high TSH. So how do we get more iodine? Great ways include consuming more seaweed or seaweed-based products, adding ionized sea salt to your meals, or a nice convenient supplement, typically found in liquid drops. Next, we have selenium. Now, selenium is a micronutrient that happens to be the most prevalent per gram of tissue in the thyroid compared to every other organ. And it is required for antioxidant function and the metabolism of thyroid hormones, with research suggesting that selenium supplementation in patients with autoimmune thyroiditis is associated with a reduction in antithyroid peroxidase antibody levels improved thyroid ultrasound features, and improved quality of life. So selenium can be kind of important. Brazil nuts and fish are the top 2 sources for this powerful micronutrient, and liquid supplements can certainly do the trick as well. Lastly, we have vitamin D. Doesn't it just seem like with every day that goes by, we learned something new about the power of vitamin D? And that doesn't seem to be no different as it pertains to thyroid function. Recent evidence has shown an association between low vitamin D and autoimmune thyroid diseases, such as Hashimoto's and Graves' disease. And this is thought to be due to vitamin D's critical role in modulating the immune system. So restoring levels to around 50 to 80 nanograms per deciliter is a good goal to have. And this could be done by a simple over-the-counter vitamin D3 supplement. Oh, and before we go, a quick word on exercise. This is another one of those oh so beneficial interventions that is just a game changer for overall health. The data indicates that strength training and moderate cardiovascular training can be beneficial for thyroid health, but overdoing it or extreme overtraining can be very problematic. So move that badonkadonk, but no need to become an ultramarathoner overnight. Okay? All in all, wherever you happen to be on your health journey, supporting your thyroid function is a good idea for biological business. Fasting or no fasting, healthy lifestyle habits around eating real food, consistent high quality sleep, moving more, nature time, and avoiding environmental toxins will all help the health, longevity, and thyroid cause. Oh, and we can't forget our, gut buddies down here. That's right, the sequel to this video is being planned. Apparently, our gut bacteria have a say in how well our thyroid functions as well, which may be the least surprising news I came across all day. Stay tuned, and don't forget to have a damn day.